Hey everybody, and welcome back to On the Sidelines with Hagan and Hunter. I'm Seth Hagan, Hunter Price to my left. And tonight we've got a very special guest for you guys. A man who really needs no introduction whatsoever, as long as you've been around here in the Southeastern Conference. And fans, you'll recognize this man very quickly. We got Paul Finebaum on the show tonight. We're going to go over week 2 and maybe preview some SEC matchups for week 3. Paul, really appreciate the time tonight, man.
Seth Hunter, thank you very much. It's really a pleasure to be on, and yeah, it's pretty amazing. You spend the entire off season trying to figure out what's going to happen in the college football season, and it really does get turned upside down. Particularly when you consider the trouble that LSU is having, and you look around, and we spent our show today talking about Lane Kiffin and Nick Saban, which really has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
But it's just a takeaway from college football nowadays. We end up getting hung up on one or two subjects versus what we're supposed to be doing, and that's talking about what actually happens on the field.
Most certainly. And talking about off the field, what's your takeaway on the Central Michigan game and how the refs really just blew it?
Yeah, I mean, not only did the refs blow it, to me, I don't understand why someone on the Oklahoma State sideline did not pick up on what is going on. Exactly. I realize the head coach has way too much going on, but, I mean, for people like us, I mean, we might not know what that rule is, or for people at home, but you have to have someone there keeping track of everything, I mean, I know the SEC has a command center which is watching all these games, and they're in direct communication. And I don't know why the Big 12 didn't, but you had MAC refs, and I know they got suspended, and you can blame them, but it should have really never come to that. That's my point. And you can't overturn a game 2 days later, but there has to be a mechanism in college football where, like we saw with Duke and Miami last year, or in other games, that if it's a mistake, you just have to stop it. I mean, you can't let it go on. So that's unfortunate. I don't think it's really going to make a lot of difference. Oklahoma State, to me, didn't look very good, but it does hurt the Big 12 quite a bit.
No, it most certainly does. And I mean, I'm sitting there, and yeah, the refs blew it, and it shouldn't have been played. But at the same time, what's Mike Gundy doing making that type of play call?
I mean, that's why you have all these $1 million salaries. There's got to be somebody there on the sideline with a rule book and being like, hey, they shouldn't even be able to play this play. I mean, there's just way too much money going on out there for somebody not to know.
By the way, I mean, you guys have been on the sidelines. There's a million people there that have nothing to do. I mean, on the sidelines,
very true.
Keep track with the officials at all times.
Oh my God, it's ridiculous. And being on the sidelines, Seth was in Alabama. What were your thoughts on Alabama, and can they get this running game going?
Yeah, I mean, had it not been for the fumble and the subsequent touchdown, what would Alabama have won the game by? 35 points. So, I agree with you. I mean, we judge Alabama when you're in Alabama by a totally different standard, and I think it was pretty sloppy, but it was also predictable. Alabama was coming off of a 46-point win. It was a sandwich game before Ole Miss, and that's why you saw Saban do what he did, whether you liked it or not. And I've heard varying opinions from throughout the country, but I think they will get in gear. I'm not overly concerned yet about Alabama. There are a lot of mistakes that are being made. Did Saban over-dramatize it? Well, of course. I mean, he's Nick Saban. Mm-hmm. He's not going to. I mean, even if Alabama had won 38 to 3, he still wouldn't have been happy because he's got Ole Miss next week.
Yep. Yeah, and trying to avoid a third straight loss. Now, Ole Miss on the road, that's just the beginning of their road troubles. I mean, they've got to go to LSU. They've got to go to a couple of other teams, big games here in the SEC.
I mean, listen, they got to go to Arkansas.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is a dangerous game. I think Ole Miss is a little hard to figure out. I mean, if you'd interviewed me at halftime a week ago, I would have said Alabama's in big trouble because Ole Miss looked like the best team in the country. But Ole Miss has problems on the defensive side of the ball, particularly in the back end. I Chad Kelly is great, but he makes mistakes. I do think the atmosphere there will be frenzied, but I think Alabama is ready for it. This is a double revenge game. Why did Alabama lose last year? Because they made 5 turnovers. Because from the opening kickoff, they just were not focused. They will be focused this week.
Yeah, I was there last year too, and it was one of the most frenetic games I've ever seen in my life. You mentioned the Ole Miss Florida State game. I think there will be a lot of similarities. How much do you think the Ole Miss Alabama game will, in fact, resemble the Ole Miss Florida State game from last week?
Quite a bit, other than I don't think Ole Miss will be way up at halftime.
Yeah.
This is a game that I think is dangerous, but I also think Alabama should win the game. 2 years ago, Alabama, I didn't see it. I was warned by people, but Alabama walked into a very difficult circumstance. Ole Miss was on fire. I think this Ole Miss team is a little bit in transition right now. I've never believed they were on the Alabama and LSU level, or Tennessee. Of course, I don't know where LSU is, but right now I think Alabama has not played that great at times, particularly early on. But this is a really good team with a lot of dimensions, and I think Jalen Hurts gives them that. And some will say, well, how will he handle the road in the SEC? Well, I think he'll handle it the same way he handled the road in Dallas and being at home. I don't think freshmen quarterbacks nowadays really care. They're a different breed than when I grew up and really 5 years ago or 10 years ago.
Yeah, I agree. You freshman quarterback. They get so much exposure in high school that it doesn't really. By the time they get to college, they've already kind of been there.
Yeah, at this point, it's the Tebow effect. Guys are playing right out the gate now.
Not only do they play, in front of big crowds in high school on national television, they play at these Elite 11 camps. The competition is just so different. I think all young athletes are at a different level. Now, still, you make mistakes. Look at Jacob Eason. At times Saturday he looked great. At times he didn't look like he knew what he was doing. Because there is a learning curve. Now, you shouldn't struggle against Nicholls State. I frankly think the three of us could pick sides on our neighborhood street and probably beat them. They're one of the worst teams in college. They're one of the worst programs in college football. But they made mistakes and they weren't focused. And I was in Starkville last weekend. I was talking to some students about the South Alabama game. And I said, "What happened?" He said, "Well, we were up at halftime by 2 or 3 touchdowns, and most of us left. It was 95 degrees out there, and that's a problem this time of the year. You get early games, which Georgia had. The students really don't care. I did a show Saturday. The last 2 Fridays, I did a show in Texas when the temperature was 96. I did a show on Friday from Starkville when it was 95. Now, again, I'm dressed in a long sleeve shirt and a tie." And I'm melting out there, and again, I don't have pads on and a helmet. So it's just this time of the year you really do see strange things happen.
You really do. It kind of reminds me of March Madness a little bit, just with all the upsets you see, and you got to love it. Looking at Auburn, Paul, I was on board and telling everybody it's time for Gus Malzahn to go after that Clemson game. I thought that offensive, I thought that game plan was so bad it was a fireable offense. Like it was that bad of a game plan.
Hey, now you're starting to sound like Paul Finebaum. Calm down.
You should have seen what I said last week. It seemed like he turned it around against Arkansas State. I want to see some consistency there first against some SEC teams. Do you think he maybe figured it out, though? Or
I don't want to hit the hyperbole meter, but I think these next 2 weeks are perhaps the most important in Gus Malzahn's career because he has an opportunity, and the opportunity is that LSU is a wreck. I really don't know where to go on LSU, so let's save that for a second. But A&M is coming in here with a little bit of confidence. This is a game I thought Auburn probably should win. I think they should win this game. But if they don't, then suddenly the LSU game becomes must-win because Gus Malzahn cannot lose 3 games in September. before he really even gets to the SEC schedule, and by that I mean the obvious. I mean, at Ole Miss, at Georgia, at Alabama, and whether his job's on the line or not is going to be determined by now. I mean, if he could possibly win these 2 games, then Auburn does have a chance to have a great season. And everyone talks about the defense. It was the offense that impressed me, and particularly Shaun White. But let's remember, it was Arkansas State.
Exactly. Yeah. It was Arkansas State, and they were able to put up 706 yards total offense. Ran the ball great. I think it was over 400 yards rushing, 240 passing. What I really noticed was it seemed like it was the first time since probably middle of 2014 that the offense seemed that everybody knew what they were doing. It had an identity. It seemed like everybody knew their roles in the offense for the first time in like 2 years.
Well, sometimes the opposition does help you do that. Listen, Texas A&M has some major big-time athletes on defense. I don't need to tell you their names. I mean, they're all Americans. So this is a big opportunity, but I just don't know. I mean, Auburn, to me, listen. You have to play it week by week, and I'm not about to tell somebody, well, don't be happy with the win. It was impressive, but like I said a minute ago, I mean, these 2 games are going to reveal a lot about Gus Malzahn.
I agree, and I got to say, looking at him in his career, he might be one of the best, and at the same time, one of the worst coaches I've seen.
I talked to a coach the other day, and after Clemson, and he said, I think a lot of coaches have figured him out. Well, it's easy to figure someone out when you have inconsistent play at quarterback, and that's the problem. Gus Malzahn looked great with Cam Newton. He looked great with Nick Marshall. He's looked pretty average with Shaun White and Jeremy Johnson and John Franklin III. It also shows you how little we know, since I, like you, and most people were convinced John Franklin III was going to be the answer this year. To what question, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's tough for John Franklin. He's still kind of learning the offense. I mean, just a ton of talent. You can see the blinding speed he has, but then he goes and does something like fumbles on the very next play, and it's clear that Gus just can't trust him right now. But me personally, I'm having trust issues with Tennessee, Paul. They scared me that first week, really came back and had a strong showing against Virginia Tech. But, I mean, Virginia Tech was in a game with Liberty University in the first half on week 1. So, assuming that they do get this next win against Miami of Ohio, who, by the way, gave App State all they could handle last year in their bowl game, how do you feel about the Florida-Tennessee game in 2 weeks? I mean, it's definitely the biggest game in Butch Jones's career.
It is. I stood on the sidelines a week ago Thursday night in Neyland, and I mean, I'm watching App State blow Tennessee up, and I didn't see much different in the first half. I mean, Virginia Tech is an average team. I mean, they'll be lucky to win 6 or 7 games. I do like the fact Tennessee is coming from behind. Last year they were blowing 17-point leads and 13-point leads. It's going to come down to Florida. Right now, I think Florida is the trendy team. They beat Kentucky, which, I mean, I don't even know where to go on Mark Stoops. I've tried to say nice things about him because I like him and I believe that he could get to a bowl game this year, but no one believes that right now. And that may be a lost cause in Kentucky. But
can they fire Mark
Tennessee
Stoops?
Better figure something out between now and September 24th, because that is going to be the biggest game in Butch Jones's career, because if he can't beat Florida, where does he go? There's nowhere to go. I mean, I can't even imagine that. So that's a long time from now. It's 12 days, but that is going to be one of those games that the SEC, that you circle on the SEC calendar. And Florida is, what does Florida have that other teams don't have? They have a great coach. I really believe Jim McElwain has emerged as maybe the most serious threat to Nick Saban in this league.
I agree. You mentioned Mark Stoops for a second. Does Kentucky have the money to fire him with that $12 million buyout?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, sure, they could find it. It's just a matter of whether they will. Sometimes, though, I mean, if this season blows up, you're in a situation where you have no choice. I don't know if they are there yet. What's really surprising is in traveling around the SEC, Kentucky has everything going. I toured their facilities last year when I was in Lexington. I mean, they're top notch. I mean, this school has a football facility. It has an addition to the stadium. I mean, you can't complain that they're behind the times. That they are not, and they've recruited fairly well. But if they can't turn this around, and I don't know anyone right now who thinks they can, then I don't know if it's a matter of the buyout or not. But if they don't pay him off, then you might as well just write the program off.
All right. And that's why I was thinking to myself, like, they can't keep him around again if he doesn't go to a bowl game. I mean,
I mean, not unless he makes a run at the end of the season
exactly.
that shows that the program has turned the corner. But when you go into, I mean, I was down in Gainesville 2 years ago for the Florida game, the Kentucky game when they went to overtime. They should have won the game. It was a terrible call that probably helped enable the Gators. I mean, that's just humiliating. You cannot lose 45-7 and think you're going to maintain a program. And by the way, Kentucky, I don't have their schedule in front of me, but it's not easy. I mean, I don't see that many wins left for them if they can't if they can't turn this thing around quickly.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Stoops is supposed to be a defensive guy.
They've already lost one game they should have won. I mean, Florida, I didn't have them winning that game, but come on.
Yeah, I mean, Stoops is supposed to be a defensive guy, yet you give up 40 to Southern Miss and then 40 to Florida right after that. It's pretty crazy. So who do you think gets fired first? We're just playing hypotheticals here, though. Mark Stoops or Les Miles? Who gets the axe first?
Well, right now, I mean, I think it's a close call. I don't think we know yet. I mean, there's still a couple of coaches out there. I mean, if you started the season, who was on the hot seat? It was really Les Miles. It was Gus Malzahn and Kevin Sumlin. That's why Saturday in Auburn is so important.
Mm-hmm. True.
Sumlin's not clear. I mean, it was a big win over UCLA, but the schedule is still in front of him. Malzahn, I don't think is out of the woods yet either. But Les Miles right now, I mean, there's almost no one left who believes he's going to make it. I stood with him last week saying it can't be as bad as it looks. Clearly, I was wrong. It looks about that bad right now. When Danny Etlin is your starting quarterback, I think that's his name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from Purdue, a transfer from Purdue, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well,
again, he was a good quarterback out of college, out of high school. He made a bad decision, but. Yeah, I mean, I'm still. I mean, LSU right now after 2 weeks is mirroring Auburn last year.
Yeah.
Good quarterback coming in, Jeremy Johnson didn't pan out. Suddenly the coach is on the hot seat. Everything seems to go. And last year, if you remember, it was the LSU game on this weekend that pretty much told the story of Gus Malzahn, and it will be fascinating to see if next weekend it's the same for Les Miles.
Well, before we let you go, Mr. Finebaum, just had to ask, Auburn finally got to roll their tumors trees this year since old Harvey came along. Which I was sitting in the Touchdowns Grill kitchen cooking chicken fingers, listening when Harvey Updyke called in, and
wow.
My heart sank. What's Harvey up to these days?
You know, I sadly or fortunately, I've lost track of Harvey Updyke. And you know, everyone is known for something, and I'm pretty sure whenever I die, when you write the obit for my career, Harvey Updyke will be mentioned in the first paragraph because it is the most famous call in talk radio history.
Yeah.
And you know, I still can't believe when he called. I didn't take him seriously. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I went to see him in jail right before he got out. It was one of the most surreal things I have ever done in my life, sitting there with this guy, and he was still not remorseful at all.
Oh, no.
He was
too much Bama in him.
Yeah, I mean, he was bragging to me about how many autographs he signed. So
Gotta love the SEC.
We did talk for a while. We were in communication, but I mean he's still pretty active on Twitter for a guy that has gone to jail for doing really something that is unforgivable.
Well, I'll never forgive him for that or me burning those chicken fingers.
Exactly.
Well, Mr. Finebaum, thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you, and hope you have a great rest of your week.
Yeah, and hopefully we can get you on again sometime soon.
Hey, thank you. It's my pleasure, and really, Hunter, enjoyed meeting you at Media Days. And Seth, good luck to you, and hope you'll have me back.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Most certainly. Have a good one.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
All right, everybody. That was the man, Paul Finebaum. You can catch him on the SEC Network, of course, with the Paul Finebaum Show, 2 to 6 p.m. Central Time. Yeah. So, second half of the show coming up. Everybody took a little bit of extra time. Hey, it's Paul Finebaum. We gotta milk that a little bit. So when we come back, your calls at 1-888-242-8517, and we get to all of Week 3's matchups. SEC schedule coming up. You don't want to miss out.